You've probably noticed something frustrating. Your agency has more AI tools than ever, more automation, more features, and somehow things aren't actually moving faster. Here's why. You're confusing two totally different things: AI note taking and recruiting automation. They sound similar, but they're not. One saves you time, the other creates a different type of backlog. In this video, we're going to showcase the difference and mainly talk about which one actually moves the needle when it comes to time to fill revenue and just cash flow for your business. So let's dig in. Here's why automation alone fails. Most agencies do this when they want to move fast. They add recruiting automation, automated sourcing, outreach, screening. This all sounds great on paper, more volume, faster pipeline. But here's the problem. Sourcing never was a bottleneck. When you automate sourcing, you get 500 candidates instead of 50, 200 outreaches per day, funnels moving faster at every step, except for one, and the one that matters most, which is the decision. Hiring managers approve shortlists, client confirm briefs, internal stakeholders say, yes, we're hiring. These steps can't be automated, right? They were slow before AI, they were slow now, and they're still going to be slow after AI. So what's actually happening? Recruiting automation creates a pile of work faster than a hiring manager can consume it. Instead of bottleneck resourcing or sourcing, we're bottlenecking judgment. More pipeline, longer wait times, burning out teams. So in a real life example, teams that have added 3 sourcing tools, they generated twice the pipeline. Time to fill didn't actually improve. Their hiring manager was just overwhelmed. So the truth is, that's what recruiting automation does, right? It scales this without visibility. It's not efficiency. It's just a different kind of backlog. We're just pushing that further down our funnel. Now, the big difference lies in, honestly, what AI note-taking does, especially when it's purpose-built for a niche like staffing, executive search, or boutique search. This is where most people get AI note-taking wrong. They think it's just saving time on note-taking. It's really about moving that human judgment to the right place. So, for example, this is what actually happens with co-recruit. Every call gets automatically recorded. No matter it's phone calls, video calls, in-person meetings, or even just calling on your cell phone. No awkwardness. The AI transcribes everything automatically, which is obviously a massive time saver to your team. You get that time back. All that valuable insight based on the specific things as a business that you want to make sure attract goes straight back into your ATS. Whether that's Bullhorn, Job Adder, Loxo, insert your ATS here. We integrate with it already. So the hiring manager actually sees clean candidate data, short lists are ready and prepared, and all the notes are already logged inside of your database. So the real win here is that the recruiter gets their time back. We've automated more of these sources, but what do they actually do with all that extra time back they have? It's not just more sourcing, but that is where we're seeing 45% of our customers spend their time, but it's more quality conversations with these candidates. Because some of our clients have already found that their team is saving today 6 to 8 hours per week on admin, but the real win, they have longer conversations with these candidates. These candidates are actually moving through their pipeline faster, and their placement rates went up by 15%. That's really where the magic lies. That's really what's making that difference in terms of your cash flow. So not just faster sourcing, but actually creating better judgment, better conversations, better placements, and an easier channel for you to find these highly qualified candidates inside of your internal database because the information you care about actually lives there. So recruiting automation talks about processing more candidates versus AI note-taking tools like co-recruit help your team make better decisions with the candidates that matter. And that's really where the juice is worth the squeeze in this side. And if we're looking at this even deeper, we understand that we probably need both, right? If we're filling the top of our funnel with more candidates that we can talk with, we're making sure we're keeping those high quality conversations and making sure those candidates actually end up in our database with that useful context after. This is what helps save you from double spending on those same leads, just like those bullhorn stats we always hear about, right? Where 70% of candidates that are placed today were actually sourced externally to our team's database. However, 66% of those externally sourced and placed candidates already lived inside of our ATS but had to get manually sourced again. We understand that it's a hygiene problem, it's not an ATS problem, and finding tools, no matter what channel you're using, to make sure that context gets back to where it matters inside of your source of truth is really where you can start to scale your team. Additionally, with all the other benefits like write-up automation, things like that too. Most agencies obviously automate the first, but then they start realizing they need better data and flip it. So start with the AI note taking, get that clean data, get that time back, then automate things on the sourcing side once you know your funnel is actually optimized. Otherwise, you're optimizing for the wrong step and going to fall into the same patterns again in 6 months. Let me show you what actually happens when you do this right. And we've surveyed hundreds of recruitment agencies, and here's what we found. 73% of them were saving 4 hours or more. 36% are saving 4 to 6 hours a week, and 20% are actually saving more than 10 hours per week just by automating this time. And again, the part that matters most, where does that time go? 70% of people who are buying back their time here are actually using that time to build stronger client relationships. 65% are sourcing more candidates, obviously selectively, not just volume blasting them. And 55% are mentioning that they're doing more strategic revenue generating work. This is where the needle is moved as a team. Making sure we're keeping your hygiene up to date, automating those low leverage activities, and allowing your team to actually spend their time where it matters most in these high leverage tasks. Because when we think about the impact on your placements, 60% said that the biggest improvement actually came down to their candidate submittal time. But here's the thing, that's not just speed, that's quality speed. Submitting faster because you have better data, not just rushing through that process, and actually understanding what a good submission, job description, whatever that might end up being looks like, and helping to standardize that across the team is what really starts to create leverage for you. Even Heather, who is the managing partner and COO at one of our companies, mentioned that this tool saves her 1 to 2 hours daily on note-taking, task admin, and making sure that context actually ends up in Bullhorn so it's a usable context. Brian, who's the managing partner on another team, mentions that this gives him back easily 8 hours per week. What used to take him 30 to 45 minutes per submittal now takes under 10 minutes. And what we're seeing, just based on our customer data here, is an 8.8 out of 10 NPS score. Not because it's flashy, because it solves real expensive problems. That's your team's time, that's your team's data quality, that's your hiring manager's ability to judge, not just process things. So how do you really start to understand which one you need? There's one easy, quick way to figure out, again, what you need. If you're saying, our sourcing is too slow, you need recruitment automation. We source a lot, but our hiring managers are overwhelmed with options. You need an AI note taker first, and one that you know actually works inside of your database based on the channels that your team's actually communicating to clients and candidates. Our recruiters are drowning in admin. You need an AI note taker, full stop. Our time to fill or our time to submit hasn't improved even with all these new tools. You need to start moving your best people to where the bottleneck actually is inside of your business, which is judgment, not sourcing. So what we see, looking at our customers again, is that when they're adding 3 recruitment automation tools, they're generating 2x the pipeline, then realize they couldn't evaluate it all, move someone to manage feedback loops inside of those hiring teams, their time to fill was cut by 40%. Same automation, different structure, right? So even just repurposing where we have our team can make a drastic impact in terms of the bottom line it makes for us. Because as we know, automation reveals a constraint, it doesn't always solve it. You have to solve the constraint manually first, then automate it. Or automation just makes the problem worse and more visible. So how do we know if we're building this the right way? So if you're building a tech stack from scratch, here's the order that you should actually think about it. The first thing that we should do is find a tool that could automate things like note-taking across any channel that you're doing and making sure it ends up back inside of your source of truth. So that ATS connection matters. Does it do things like fields, action types, notes, as well as the write-up automation? This is where you get your data clean. This is where you win your team's time back and get clear visibility to what's actually happening on calls. The second is your recruitment automation. Now you start layering in, once you know what your bottleneck is, you can start to further automate confidently, and now automation creates capacity, not chaos. The third thing that we should layer in here is analytics and a coaching layer. Use your call data to coach your team, track what works, what calls, what coaching patterns you should look at. And if you want to learn more about that, our MCP connector is a fantastic resource to check that out on, because that's the stack that actually moves the needle. And so if you're thinking, well, why the heck CoRecruit? We're a tool that sits on top of your ATS. We keep your data inside of Bullhorn, JobAdder, Loxo, not trying to be another system of record. Our goal is to make your tools work better inside of the systems you already have. So again, whether you're doing phone calls, video calls, or in-person meetings, we can capture all that valuable context to make sure it ends up inside of your ATS seamlessly after that call, helping teams save 8 hours per recruiter per week by helping them do so. Then you decide what they should do with that time again, or maybe it's just them. Here's the bottom line. Recruitment automation is great if your constraint is volume. AI note-taking is great if your constraint is visibility, constraint is judgment, or your team's time is being wasted on admin work today. For most 10 to 50 person recruitment agencies, their constraint is time and data quality, not sourcing volume. So make sure you're asking yourself the right question now. Am I solving the real bottleneck, or am I optimizing something that's already working? If you want to see how this works live in action, we do offer a 7-day free trial with a full white glove onboarding to help your team get set up, integrate, and even practice using this tool, so you can see how CoRecruit can help automate your admin work today.